for joining. So today we're going to be talking about how you can use AI to review smart contracts. Should you? Should you not? Can you use it for some things? We're going to get into discussing all this, and we're going to do some demos. We have our CEP committee here. I'm Jessica Levesque, our executive director, and let's do some intros. Kent?
Hi guys, I'm Kent. This may be an unpopular opinion these days, but I freaking love Ethereum, and glad to be here today to walk you through this fun. I've been in the space for a while, and it's getting more interesting now thanks to LLMs, and we're going to have a fun look at it today with Josh.
What's crypto without opinions that people disagree with, right? Isn't that why where we started and where we're going to end up?
So many opinions, yes.
Yes. All right, Josh.
Josh, one of the founding members of C4 and also one of the long-term members of the CEP committee. I also love Ethereum. Yeah, stick with that.
I mean, I would think we all do if we're here. Yeah, Dustin. What if Dustin's like, I hate it? He'd be the last person.
I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. Yeah.
All right, Dustin, we can't hear you, and we want to. No, but I can make things up about what you're saying if we want.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. There you are. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Dustin, based in Singapore, and I organize a Ethereum non-profit community here as well. Ethereum has its moments. It's a love-hate relationship sometimes, but I think that it provides the base layer for a lot of the primitives that people build on top of, and that isn't always popular. It isn't always sexy. Sometimes we pay a lot more attention to kind of the user-facing applications and not so much to the base layer. But I think that without the base layer, without that infrastructure, and without, it's the public goods, the roads, the sewage in some cases, without that, we wouldn't have something that we can build so many applications and use cases on.
Yeah, nothing's all good or all bad, really. Most things, I think there's a little bit of a love-hate with. So Ethereum's no different, but we all mostly love it. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than we usually do on live streams. So we can thank Josh for being our guinea pig for this type of live stream. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about if we could actually use AI to review smart contracts. Should we? What does that look like? And there's been so much hype around AI in security right now, but also in terms of what we can use it for to increase, what we can develop and how we can build tools and how we can limit the amount of time it takes to do things. But how do we do this in a way that is useful and smart? And so we're going to walk through a real example together. We'll break down some of the terminology, and Josh is going to show us what this looks like or what it could look like. But before we get into the actual demo, why don't we just quickly discuss how AI is being used right now within Ethereum and smart contracts, and kind of what we personally are enjoying about it, maybe what scares us about it. Kent, do you want to start about, like, are you using the tech? I guess maybe that's a good way to start. Are you using this technology? And if so, how and what? And you're also muted now. I'm just going to start miming.
Yeah, I would say Claude Code at this point dominates my about 80% of my life, and I'm okay with that. I'm using it to build software, which I never would have been possible. I'm not a developer. I'm using it to strategize. I will say I'm not doing anything directly smart contract related, but I've been following a lot of that. I think one thing that really strikes me is Ethereum developers, smart contract developers used to be like unicorns, like very, very hard to come by. And the tooling was difficult. Everything about it was this sort of a little bit opaque at times. And also just due to the nature of Ethereum, always kind of iterating at a weird pace and just hard. But now, I mean, you can, the tooling has advanced even without LLMs, but now LLMs have just made the barrier to entry so much lower. which I think is really cool. Of course, there's also the ability to have it explain things along the way. Security, of course, is a major implication. That could be good and bad. Hackers can use this and will use this tech to try to hack smart contracts. On the plus side, you can use it to audit your own stuff. So, and the other cool thing is, even if you're envisioning a use case where it just barely touches somehow the blockchain, some sort of functionality, LLMs are also great at doing everything else in between on your own side, UI UX, building it out. So yeah, if anybody hasn't gone down this rabbit hole, I couldn't encourage you more. And the nice thing is just like grab Cloud Code, for example, or maybe Codex, and then if you have questions and need help installing, the LLM itself will do it for you. There's no time to waste. You got to do this because it's so freaking cool and it's changing everything.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so let's now move to Dustin, and maybe Dustin, you want to talk about how you feel about it. And I think you wanted to share something. I think I gave you screen sharing permission. Are you able to? All right, here we go. And unmute yourself. This is like the stream of us forgetting to unmute ourselves. It's
Can you
awesome.
see my screen?
Yes.
Right. So I think what's useful about the way AI tools being used is that they're being used everywhere, and Remix is an IDE that a lot of people kind of use, which is a web-based IDE. So what's interesting is that they've added more AI tools to it now, where you have a Remix AI Copilot for code completion. And then they also have stuff for documentation where you could use an LLM to help do code explanations. And I know that documentation is something that, there are a lot of people that writing code is great, but when they need to document it, sometimes that gets it kind of breaks the flow. So it's a useful kind of, maybe you don't use it to document completely, maybe you use it to get you kind of halfway there, and then you go and review it and make sure that it's explaining what you're doing correctly. But I think it's interesting that we're getting to the point that you can start to add more, or rather take away some of the grunt work of coding, and let you focus on what is a high productivity for you.
So I like that you've got using a local LLM for privacy, and we can talk about that a little bit. One of the things I wanted to mention too is AI is being used everywhere, but we need to really pay attention to how we're using it safely and what information we're feeding to it, and if we are giving it private information. I actually just recently took an interesting and really well done course on using AI, using Claude, and how you could integrate it with the things that you're doing. And this isn't specifically for smart contracts, but if you're a beginner that's trying to figure out how you can use AI and you're a little scared from it, one of our former CEP committee members, Hannah Lout, is actually running boot camps on this. I'll put the link in the chat, but the last one she did, she had free for all women who were recently laid off from Coinbase. So anyways, I'll put the link to her stuff in that. I'm not trying to shill this. I'm just pointing out that if you are interested in AI, but you don't know how to use it safely, take a course or do some research on it to make sure that you don't share information with it. Maybe you shouldn't. So anyways, I love this tech. I use it quite frequently. I don't know that I use it as well as I will. It's one of those things where it's growing and we're still learning how to utilize it in the best possible ways. But safety and security with it is a big thing that I'm definitely concerned about, especially within cryptocurrency and blockchain environment. So, Josh, what about you? You use it all the time as well. I mean, we obviously all love Ethereum and AI. So, what are you using it for?
I use it a lot in my day-to-day life from a developer perspective. I run a game studio. We've been building Web3 games since before the term Web3 game existed. We've been developing the hard way for a long time. And not to say that using AI isn't hard sometimes as well, but we use it. we've seen an immense jump in our productivity thanks to it, immense jump in the things we're able to ship, able to put together, thanks to this technology. Even doing our own security reviews with it, and admittedly, like external security reviews are critical because it's an external, it's something external. It's not necessarily influenced by your own choices. Fresh set of eyes is always important. But as a small, indie dev shop, funds aren't fluid everywhere. So you still want to try and do your best and at least have things in the best possible place before they go for a security review down the road. So this technology has helped us immensely ship cool features, but also do a lot of boring stuff that would have been difficult for us down the road. There's at least one case where a bug came up in our code, and honestly, it might have taken us 2 weeks to figure out. It might have taken us months to figure out. It's possible we would have never figured out this bug because it wasn't really in anything we were writing. It was, the operating system got upgraded, and then the container system got upgraded to a different version. And then there was this weird cryptographic library that was mismatched somewhere, and something was just failing. And we had no idea why. And we turned to our trusty tool and said, what the hell is going on? And it was able to figure it out like that. So you take my team, which, honestly, could have been something that just bankrupted us. Like, okay, we just can't, we don't know where this bug is. This is beyond our capabilities of finding it. And our team just spends 6 months doing nothing but trying to figure out what this thing that occurred because two different pieces of software outside of what we're building got upgraded and suddenly, messed with us. So that kind of immense power is incredibly helpful for us mortals just trying to build something interesting. And I think it's very easy to look at this technology with a lot of negative colored glasses, and honestly, a lot of that is well warranted criticism, like completely acceptable. For us, even for our art, we still do all our art by hand for our games, just because we value human art. It's fun. We like that. We think it is a contribution to what our game is and why that matters. But on the programming side of it, it's just like, well, no, I need it to do this, and I need you to help me do this, or I need you, like, it reviewing the code that we write and saying, hey, you're a crappy mortal programmer. You should have done it this way. Oh yeah, you're totally right. Thank you for that. So that's very, very valuable technology. Certainly not without its issues in our day-to-day life, but very, very valuable, especially from my perspective on a small team trying to do something weird.
I mean, agreed. C4 is a small team as well, and there are little things that we can do that make life a little bit easier, work a little bit easier. Creating images sometimes that we're not taking away from art, we're just quickly creating something to put in socials. And it actually says now, like on LinkedIn, if something was created with AI for some different things, which I think is really nice, especially when we talk about how it impacts artists. One of the things you said, Josh, that I think is really important is that there's great power in this tool, and it's a really powerful tool we can use, but we also know that there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with that. And so being able to use it appropriately, but then also knowing when you should trust AI and when you shouldn't. And so I think that's kind of what we can get into with how we use it to review smart contracts. And I think personally, if you don't understand how smart contracts work, this is a good way to learn it. Do I think you should have AI create a smart contract when you have no idea what you're doing and put a lot of funds connected to it? Probably not. But it is a good way to learn how to use it, what's happening behind the scenes for less technical people. And then I assume you can just ramp up what you're learning from it and how you understand it. But Josh, do you have any, I don't want to say disclaimers, but anything, if people are interested in doing this on their own, is there anything you think they should be really aware of in the learning process?
I guess it's very it's very easy to feel confident about things when you don't know what you're doing. um, so uh, once you start not feeling confident about what you're doing, you're probably on the right path.
Mhm.
It's definitely, especially with I guess the weirdest part about this technology is a lot of it is honestly learning how to ask the right questions to the robot. Um, it's because you can ask it to build something, but then asking it, well, what about this case? Is where the uh, I guess skill can come from as the operator of the system, understanding like, okay, I based on my experience, I know that if we don't cover these features properly, these things can happen. I want to at least make sure the robot that's writing this is considering those as well. And the the weirdest part of like honestly, it's not human, but in ways it does act a lot like a human in that sometimes it's just trying to finish the task you gave it as quickly as possible. So it has the world's knowledge built into it, but it's not motivated to use it all the time. So if you're not careful with it, if you're just like, hey, write this, trade smart contract write this AMM. It might go and like quickly like, build in a little couple features here and there. And a lot of things will be flying by the screen and you'll be like, oh, good. It's built the AMM for me. This is going to like crush Uniswap. This is great. It's probably just using Uniswap's code. Um, and then you go to deploy it. And if you were to look at the code, it would be like, oh, it wrote the function, but didn't actually write anything inside it. Or it didn't have a full comprehension of external tokens. It's missing concepts like, oh, okay, I can trade ETH to ETH, but I didn't tell it that I wanted to be able to trade ERC20 tokens or NFTs or something like that. So the devil's in the details. Understanding how to converse with it, how to bring up, your concerns with it, tends to result in better systems down the road. And as I said, it has the world's knowledge, but it doesn't always want to use it. Telling it to change perspectives somehow like brings you down different branches of its matrix of knowledge. So um, yeah. I guess also it might destroy your computer and give all of your personal information away. Disclaimer over.
I like
No
that
big
quick
deal.
little disclaimer. Go ahead, Ken.
I was just saying, no big deal if it does that. Hey, it's part of the whole thing, right? It might destroy your whole life.
I
Yeah,
came
it's
across
exciting.
I came across a really good example of like recently of how knowing what you're doing and knowing a little bit of what you're trying to achieve can help a lot. What I was doing was I was trying to give it. I have a Google Photos account, and some of the photos I backed up are consuming space and everything. But now I have a Pixel phone that can upload it for unlimited storage. So what I was trying to do is like I'm going to give you these Google Photos. Search in my archive if I have the high res originals, and if I do, copy them to this thumb drive so that I can stick it into my phone and upload it and have infinite space. And then I was doing it for a while, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna add more files. I'm gonna add more files. And I was like, it's getting really long, and I started thinking about saying, how is it searching my archive for whether there's a high res original? And I realized, and I asked it the question, how exactly have you written this? Are you going with a list of 20 files, and then you take one file, you search, terabytes of my archive. Oh, this file is there. I'll copy it. Then let's go to file 2, and you search the terabytes again. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Like, don't do that next time. take the entire list of files I want you to find, go to the archive, search it one time for everything on that list, and then copy it, rather than doing it one file at a time. But you've also kind of got to understand file copying. You've also kind of got to understand the process through which there are different ways to do the same thing. And sometimes it's choosing to do things in an inefficient way, but it won't know that it's not doing what you want, or you didn't define how you wanted it done. So sometimes there are different paths to getting to the same thing. And it's knowing that oh, it's probably doing this search as a serial process rather than as a parallel process, and that's why it's so slow when I give it more files. So you can't just give it instructions and go automatically do it the best way possible. Sometimes you got to tell it the way you're doing it is not really efficient, and you should be doing it this way instead.
Which means it's relying on you, the user, to give it the correct information and to be able to filter out the things that you don't want included in it, or to remove that, memory from it, which means that the user needs to really understand the technology at some level, how to feed it and what you're getting back as well. I think one of the things that's really important to note is that although we're going to shortly here review smart contracts using AI, talk about this a little bit more, do some examples, we are not suggesting in any way that smart contracts should just go through a quick review on Claude and then you're good to go. That is not what we're saying here. Please don't do that. Terrible choice. But we are saying is it can be useful for certain things. It does not replace the smart contract auditor. And you shouldn't make the assumption that you can create something that works immediately while doing this. But it is a good tool. And I think like a lot of tools, it's only as good as the person using it. So Josh?
Yeah, and I think the real beauty is that it can help you learn these things. It's, when we're saying oh, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. We're not saying then don't do it. We're just saying that might be phase 2 of the deploy smart contract goal that you have. The first thing might be kind of get up to speed a little bit. And honestly, one of the reasons why I really enjoy using these tools for learning is because it's generally not judging you unless you tell it to judge you. So you can ask it stupid questions. You can ask it the same question 5 different times and have it explain it with different analogies. And just me personally, that helps me learn things better sometimes. So having this technology kind of at your fingertips can be a really powerful tool as far as gaining this knowledge that you want, so you can start to then use the tool better even down the road as well. So yeah, I guess the other interesting thing that we're a lot of smart contract problems down the road also don't tend to be only oh, this function was written incorrectly. It's actually that because we used to talk about DeFi as if it was like financial Lego, and this piece connects to that piece, and that piece connects to this piece, and this piece connects to that piece, and that's honestly an insanely valuable part of what all of this is. The fact that you can interact with 5 different smart contracts in one transaction and execute things across different systems, taking a loan from here, doing a trade over here, putting that value over there so you can do something else. This is the absolutely mind-blowing part that we've created here as a community. This is wonderful. But that kind of thing is hard to model and hard to appreciate. So it's not necessarily that the smart contract is written with errors or without errors as far as the code goes, but fundamentally is the way it's designed going to successfully work based on its different features and the way the economy is kind of built up into it. Is it going to interact with other systems in a way that you intend, or is doing something weird? Sometimes it's oh, well, no one will ever have 50% of this token supply, which is needed to do this crazy thing. And then someone realizes that they can, quickly borrow 55% of this token supply because it's on the market, do the thing in one transaction, crash the other thing, and not have to worry about repaying it. So there's kind of a bigger picture. And now that's what AI is starting to get better at, is understanding the bigger picture analysis of what can possibly go wrong. And that's also why we're a little bit worried about old smart contracts now and how we'll kind of deal with that in the future. But
the downside of these fabulous DeFi money Legos.
Yeah, or upside, but also upside. Security is always a bit of a cat and mouse game. It's unfortunate that there's billions of dollars in the cat and mouse game, but it's always been there. So we'll see how this goes. But theoretically, good thing overall, because now you can also use these tools to consider the exact same thing.
Yeah, and no technology generally is all good or all bad. There's both sides of it, and I think that's definitely the case for AI. If you focus only on like the fear side, then you're missing out on a lot of the positives of it. And if you just look at the positives of it, then you're going to miss out on a lot of things that are actually problematic that you need to pay closer attention to. So it's kind of about weighing it and being smart about how you use it. So how can we be smart about using it?
Well, first we got to figure out what the hell it is. So I guess we'll start with that.
All right, that was a great introduction.
This is probably going to be a multi-part series. We'll see. We'll see if people like it. We'll see if we have fun doing it, or if it goes horribly. Tough to say. I guess another little quick preamble. We are in no way, shape, or form sponsored by Claude, sponsored by ChatGPT, Cursor, all these different things we've talked about. That's not what we do. We talk about things because we find them interesting, and that's what we're going to do today. But don't take this as us shilling these specific tools. We're just going to be honest about the capabilities and the limitations that we come across with these tools because we find them interesting and we'd like to share with you.
We're also not sponsored by Ripple or Tron, to be clear.
Thanks for clarifying that.
I want to continue that joke, but it's just done. Christ. Okay. Okay, great. I'm sharing my screen. Where do we start from here? Okay, so I'm going to use a program today called Cursor. I'm using it for a number of reasons for this particular lesson, primarily because you get to kind of see under the hood a little bit more. A lot of people really like Claude. Obviously, ChatGPT people are really comfortable with as far as more of a purely conversation flow. Where Cursor is a little bit more valuable, at least to me and hopefully to this live stream, is that one, we get to see the files that are being created. This Cursor is a little bit more like a true IDE, which programmers use to interact with code bases, at least kind of traditionally. Now it is moving towards Claude, where you're just kind of telling it like, hey, go edit these files. And it might show you a little blip like, hey, I'm going to do this. And then you just jam on enter. With Cursor, it's a little bit more kind of traditional, working with your files, still talking with the robots, but also being a little bit more in the code base, which I think will be helpful for this. So we'll see how this goes. Some kind of high level things of what's going on the screen right now. We don't have any files, despite me just talking about there being files. We'll get some in a minute, but they'll be along here on the left. If we're editing a file, it's going to be here in the middle. And then on this right, we got that familiar chatbot. PM. So probably a very normal robot interaction that we'll all get used to. I've created a new workspace just for this, a workspace being a fancy word for a folder. Nothing too crazy there. And then there's a couple other things that happen down here. One, we're in agent mode currently, and I'm going to go through the different modes. And then our model is currently on auto. What is a model? A model is the underlying LLM that you're talking to. So ChatGPT has their own models, usually the GPT something models that you'll see. Claude has been mentioned a number of times here, which is a piece of software from Anthropic. And their models are currently known as Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. And they're working on a new one called Mythos, which is apparently too scary for them to give to us, which is either legitimately terrifying or like an incredible marketing ploy. We're still kind of jury's still out on that one. Like, well, it's too scary. You can't have it, but you really want it though. Better pay us money. I do want it. I do. And then there is Google's got a bunch of different models. So model is just like the brand that you're using, and each of them honestly have different strengths and weaknesses. So as you start using this technology, one of the hardest things on it, like the biggest hurdle, I think, is starting to understand which models are actually effective for what you're trying to do. Some of them are incredibly slow and expensive, but they're very, very smart. So if you're doing a task like, tell me a joke, do you want to use the like incredibly slow analytical model for this? Absolutely not. Like that doesn't make any sense. But if you're, reviewing a blog post for grammatical errors and you just wanted to review something quickly, then maybe you just want to use an easier model. So I've got it on auto right now. Cursor happens to be able to look at what you're asking it to do and actually help you choose which model. But then there's a bunch of you can turn off that and just choose the one that you want. Right now, if you want like the best of the best, the thing that's going to, if you are having it write your smart contract for you, you're probably working in Opus 4.7. It just happens to be the best one right now. This Composer one is basically Cursor's own LLM offering. It's really fast, so it's kind of nice if you don't want to be waiting for things to go all the time. But still, like as you start to, especially if you are a programmer already and you're using this technology, you can see the difference between Composer's code and Opus's code. Opus just makes better decisions. But again, I think this is the biggest hurdle, and the only really way to like get comfortable with it is to use them. And you don't end up just using one of them. And sometimes you want to use one to review what the other one did or to like judge each other. And usually if you tell them, hey, I've sent this to another agent and they had this response, that also kind of like kicks it into high gear because it wants to be better than the other agent. So it's good to have these options, play with them, mess around, understand where you want to use one. Or you just might have a particular brand. Maybe you just love Google and you want to use Gemini or something like that. Or you don't like OpenAI and you don't like the fact that you want to give them, or you don't want to give them data, so you just never use the GPT models.
Josh, can I ask a question? Do you have any specific example in mind where one model conclusively outperformed another model, and then you noticed a trend where, oh, for this particular task or thing, I should use this model because it's clearly better at it?
Yes, if I'm working on the chain side of our game has its own blockchain. If I'm working on that, it's a very large project. It's very heavy. If I start saying, okay, we've got to plan a new feature today. The feature does XYZ. Let's start planning this feature together. And I'm using, let's say I'm using Composer. Generally, the strategy Composer will make up won't have a full understanding of the code base. Where if I use Opus 4.7, the plan it comes up with in this kind of complicated code base generally is a lot more in line with my coding style, is a lot more in line with not missing any elements. Like Composer might not update the command line arguments or something like that relating to this new feature, where Opus will be like, oh, and also you need to update the command line because of these new feature pieces. So, it's faster, but did it get to the answer that I wanted? Not necessarily. If I blindly just accepted the plan, was it going to make something that worked? Yes. But was it going to like sully my workspace and overall make it more complex and bug ridden down the road? 100%. So there's good and bad elements, but again, had I had not been paying attention, Composer would have done things and it would have probably worked mostly. But it wouldn't have been It wouldn't have kept the workspace how I wanted it to be, and it would have probably missed some corner cases or things like that. Not a great succinct example, but it's the best I got today. Those are the different models. Again, this is the hardest part about this is, or at least the most overwhelming part is being like, I don't know. There's 50 options. I have my options limited. It's worse than that if you let it show all the options. Now, I'm not going to dwell on that anymore for now. We're going to stick with auto for now. We're going to see how that goes. So I won't actually know which model it's using. It's like a fun little secret. But then this is also critically important. Telling your agent kind of what you're doing right now. Because a lot of times if you're in agent mode and you just say like, hey, I want to build a smart contract, it kind of just starts doing it. And you're like, whoa, slow down. Like I didn't even tell you what I wanted to build and you've already like done half of it. Like that seems a little aggressive. So we've only in the last, couple months actually, new modes that you interact with it are available now. And this is slightly different depending on which system you're using. Basic Cursor, using Claude, Gemini, all these different systems. But most of these features are basically the exact same. So you might see something slightly different, maybe a different order that they're in, but either way, the concepts are there. So you should be able to find these. Plan mode is like, hey, let's just talk about this. And it will legitimately start to build up a plan with you. It'll ask you questions, kind of fill in this plan. It creates a plan document and starts outlining the tasks of the plan. Very, very important feature. You generally spend a lot of your time in plan mode, and then you switch to agent mode to execute the plan. I'm going to skip debug because it's more cursor specific. I'm going to skip multitask. Again, not super interesting right now. And then ask.
Hey, Josh,
So
if I
instead
could interject a quick question about planning. From like a developer perspective and a practical perspective, do you find that the plan works best when it actually produces a technical spec that the build can then follow and sort of check these off one by one and then test that they're properly integrated? Or does it kind of tend to produce maybe a looser plan that you may or may not write a formal spec for?
It's a great question. It kind of depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes I will ask it. So in the plan, while it's planning, I'll say, show me the function that you think you will write for this part. And then it will kind of write it out. And I'll be like, okay, I can tell it's way off than what I expected, actually. It generally doesn't update the plan with that, but it just helps me understand like where its head is at in the moment as far as what implementation will look like. But it really depends on the complexity of what the plan is and what the goal is. If I think it needs like, okay, we're going to go into detail on this. What do you expect to actually do here? And then ask is like, if I have questions about my current workspace, I don't want it to change anything. I don't want it to start building up this like grand idea of what's going to happen. I just want to talk to it. Then there's ask mode. So that's kind of like your more familiar ChatGPT experience, like chatbot experience. Is just like, hey, let's just talk. No reason to do anything crazy. Let's just figure this out. So like when you're in ask mode and when you're in plan mode, the system is literally not allowed to write files. So that's a really nice kind of guardrail that we get to use. Like, hey, please don't mess anything up. Let's just talk. I'm going to start with plan mode. We've done a lot of talking, and I'm going to say, I want to build. Oh, actually, I want to learn about Ethereum smart contracts. Help me use this workspace. Use. Well, it's not going to do anything because we're just going to plan. It might have some questions, it might not. We get to see it's doing all sorts of things. It's seeing if I've got anything installed already. Now, which development toolchain do you want to use? Node is already installed. Foundry. So a lot of the times it's going to ask you things, and you're going to legitimately have no idea what it's talking about. I kind of know what it's talking about here. That's fine. But if you're watching this introduction to smart contracts and AI, it's quite likely that you have no idea what it's talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I just want to learn. Please choose for me. Great. What do you want to explore first in this workspace? Basics, deploying interactive smart contracts. I actually don't think we should, I don't consider that basic at all. Deploying a smart contract before I've even learned what a smart contract is not basic. That doesn't make any sense. Tokens sounds interesting though. Transferring and minting, ERC20. Maybe if you're on this call, you're familiar with an ERC20. It's one of the oldest standards in the Ethereum landscape. So much of what we do is based on it. So maybe that's a good place to start. DeFi patterns, well, that sounds a little bit more advanced. Oh, it says more advanced. Perfect. And a guided learning path. That actually sounds really interesting too. What do you guys think? B or D?
Let's do D.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll do
let's
D.
see.
I'm curious
Let's
to see what the learning path will be.
I know, me too.
Well, that's what's so fun, right? We don't
Yeah.
exactly know where it's going to take us. We give it a prompt and we see where it goes. So how is it doing this, Josh? It's thinking through this and just letting us know what it's
So
thinking.
so it's sending, these are all hosted LLMs. So I'm not using a private model on my machine. I'm not sure even which model it's using right now because I'm in auto mode. So it's taking my chat and sending it to some server somewhere, which is processing it. And it's figuring out, okay, here's a good way of learning Ethereum. Now we can open up our plan right now. So this is the plan that it's created. I haven't done any of this. What you'll learn, lesson 1, counter, then a greeter, ownable vault, lesson 2, simple. We're going to create a counter, then a greeter, and a vault, and a simple token. This feels complicated.
And just for clarity, guys, the .sol, we have not entered Solana land. That this is actually Solidity, which is the programming language that a lot of smart contracts are built in. Just in case you saw the Sol and got confused.
Yeah. So, like, here's his plan. It feels like a lot to me. I guess I'm going to tell it that. This feels over my head. Can we simplify the plan? I'm new. So I, tried to do something. It felt over my head, and I think it'd be easy to quit at this point and be like, "Oh, okay, I just won't learn this. Like, this is too much for me." Instead, I told the robot that, like, what are you doing to me? This is terrible.
Is it because
Here's this.
is it because it has existing context of you using it at a much higher level, and therefore it's making an assumption that you can handle it?
100% possible. Okay, before it was 4 smart contracts. Now it's just 1 contract. What it looks like. We're just going to do counter, test, no wallet, no real ETH. That's good. That's nice. No tokens, no DeFi. What you'll learn, open the contract, read the test, run the test, change once. Okay, this feels better. I'm going to click this big build button. It switches into agent mode. And now it's going to start setting up my environment. You can see my files showing up here along the left. Oh, it's asking me, do I want to run npm install? This is okay. A lot of the times you might end up clicking run on things that you don't fully know what it's talking about. And that's where the danger comes in. You are allowing this program to run things on your computer. And they've tried to add guardrails in to prevent things like delete hard drive and email your contact list with all of your personal photos. Like they've tried to add guardrails in, and you'll see the term sandbox come in every so often. It tries to run things in a sandbox, meaning in this little like kind of cozy environment, run it there where it can't do as much damage. But it can't do everything in the sandbox because some of the toys are outside of the sandbox and it wants to use those toys because they're way more fun. So frequently it'll be like, okay, well, I tried to do this dangerous thing and I can't do it in the sandbox. Can I do it outside the sandbox? And you're like, yeah, of course, because I want to continue doing this thing. See, auto run in sandbox. We're going to say, yep. I saw a big warning go by. I don't know what it said. Wasn't paying attention.
Could you go back to ask for that then, Josh, for the warning? If you see something.
Would I?
like
Could
that?
I? Yes. Would I? Probably not.
Got it.
I might look at if I was actually. I'm not actually concerned about what's going on right now, so I have enough confidence to just let that one slide. But there's no harm in hurting and asking it.
Got it.
If you let's say if you didn't have the confidence to do that, could you theoretically create another agent which is an adversarial thinking agent, and you are my security audit agent, and check the logs and tell me if there's anything I need to be worried about? Or is that just working against itself?
So let's open up our chat sidebar here. We see we're currently just working on the one. We're gonna add a new agent.
Or love the humor, Josh. I don't trust that sneaky robot.
So while this one's going, we can jump over to our other one who has no idea that we're now distrusting of it. And we're going to open up this smart contract. So here's what it thinks that we can learn from. I got to close this because I'm running out of space. I find it interesting that it's added a license. So either it had this code fully somewhere in its memory and included this license, or it's decided to give it a license. Both of those are odd, in my opinion, but here we are. It's added some comments. But if you're new to programming, maybe you don't fully maybe you don't know what a comment is. So first of all, I'm gonna say keep. I want to keep what the robot has chosen. And I'm gonna select this part, add to chat. You can see it adds this part here. Why does this code start with // and saying, oh, this is actually a single line comment. So it's not executed. Oh, okay. Those are comments. So again, the nice part is okay. I'm looking at this. I've never seen programming code before. 256. Unt? What is an unt? Why am I unting? What is unting? Now it's again describing it to me. It's an unsigned integer. Oh, that's a number. Great. 256 bits of storage. It can hold big numbers. Great. This is helpful. So I've been copying little pieces and asking it to describe it. But I can also just say, can you walk me through? And you can tag files. So let's say this file as if I had never used a computer. So it actually even recognizes, oh, I should explain to you what a license is. Interesting. It's comparing it to feel free to share this recipe, which is actually pretty accurate. An MIT license is a license that basically says, as long as you keep this line that says this is an MIT license on this code and who made it, you can share it with whoever you want. You can do whatever you want to it. So that's pretty accurate. Pragma, Solidity, blah, blah, blah. This is just saying, what version of Solidity you get to use. And then it starts describing, well, what is Solidity? It's a language, but for smart contracts. It describes the comments, and now it starts to get into what this actual code is. What a contract is. The fact that we've used counter. Counter is just the name of this project that we're doing here. It goes into back to uint, and just generally describes what's going on here. And even makes us little ASCII pictures. A little glossary of the new words that we've learned. And what to do next. Now it gave me this command, run this in your terminal. And you run it. I don't know where my terminal is. Great. Run. Now it ran it for me. We can expand this to see what it actually did. Oh, there's that warning. Oh, it's just node. And we can see that our system works. What the hell do we do next? And so on, and so on. So we talked a lot about what this technology is at a very high level, how we use it, why it's terrifying at times. And then this was just like a very quick introduction to using these tools to do more with it from a learning perspective. So we cautioned many times, like, don't just start writing smart contracts, because if you don't know what you're doing, things can go wrong. What we want to make sure we get across is that doesn't mean don't use this to write smart contracts. This means use it to learn first if you're not there. Use it to help gain the experience and the knowledge of interacting with these things, of understanding how the code works. And that will empower you to work with it so much more better down the road, and understand when to be cautious with it and understand how to use it, use them to work with each other. We can finish off by going back to our previous robot of, hey, what is this guy doing that's shady? Oh, nothing dangerous turned up. Well, that's good. You asked it to learn some stuff. It did it for you. Not a big deal. But then one sneaky thing, oh, it did find it. It can look odd, but it's just context gathering. Yeah, great. It didn't do anything shady on us. Perfect. So using robots to review the work of other robots, super important. Great recommendation, Dustin. Yeah. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Dustin, Kent. I mean, I feel like there's so many different ways this can go, what you type in, what you're asking for, but it's pretty cool. And I agree, Dustin, that was a good suggestion.
Just to second and third that suggestion, I like to use, I write in Claude Code, but then I have Codex via kind of a plugin in Claude Code, then review that what Claude did, and having two families of LLMs review each other is helpful because they're trained on different data. They're totally different. So, and God knows Codex will certainly find a lot of bugs in what Claude writes. So it's important to do the QA for sure.
Build CryptoKitties. Oh gosh. Well, so is that what we want to look at for our next stream? We'll do a follow-up on this, and we'll build. I miss CryptoKitties.
I think it probably still exists. You probably just don't use it.
Fair.
I think next one we might look at ERC20 because it is the kind of foundation of most of what Ethereum is. And I think it would be interesting to go through it and see all the different pieces that you can use to interact with tokens. I think, if you've interacted with Ethereum, you've either sent ETH or you've sent these other tokens, and understanding kind of what those functionalities are available would, I think, be interesting. I haven't looked at that contract in a while, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, I guess that's what's up next. So this was part 1. We will do a follow-up. Stay tuned for when that is, or subscribe, and you will get notified of it. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. We are here with the Certified Ethereum Professional Committee, and this group of people are the experts behind our Certified Ethereum Professional exam. So we appreciate you joining us. I think we all learned a lot, and we will see you back here at the next one. So let's quickly say goodbyes, and then Josh, do you want to end the screen share so we can see everybody and kind of say goodbye for now? Thank you again for joining. This was a good stream. I learned a lot. I hope everybody else who's watching also learned a lot. And thank you to our committee. And we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.